Warning: CP is not a professional chef but can still help you find and make your next amazing meal. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧. The macaroni soup, known as the 火腿通粉 in Cantonese, is a popular traditional Hong Kong-style breakfast food or snack you can find around Hong Kong and many Hong Kong-style cafes around the world. It is a rather easy and delicious meal you can make with only 6 basic ingredients. So let's start cooking. First off, let's go over the ingredients. Assuming you'll be making this meal for one person, you will need about 150 to 200 grams of macaroni. In terms of meat, you can use around 100 grams or a few slices of ham. And to make it as Hong Kong as possible, you will also need a few slices of spam. To give your soup some compliments, I would recommend adding 2 tablespoons or even half a bowl of frozen vegetables. On top of that, you will also need 1 egg as a topping to give your soup a little more contrast. In terms of the chicken broth, some people make their own from scratch. But if you're running short on time, using a store-bought chicken broth works just fine, and it will save you at least 20 minutes of preparing. Now moving on, the first step is to cook the macaroni. So I would first pour the macaroni into the pot, then add about 2.5 cups of water. The goal here is to boil it until they reach the al dente phase. For the portion I used, this usually takes around 10 to 12 minutes. To speed up the process, you can actually add boiling water to it right away. The key here is to occasionally stir the pot, especially at the beginning, so the pasta doesn't stick together. While your pasta is cooking, you can also move on to prepare the other ingredients. So during this time, I would cut the ham and prepare the spam. For the spam, it's more of a personal preference, but I think 2 to 3 thin slices is more than enough. Since spam isn't the healthiest food in the world and might be a little bit high on fat and sodium for some people, an extra step I usually take is to drain it out in hot water for about 20 to 30 seconds. The purpose of this process is to drain out the excess fat and sodium. Then I would dry it off and squeeze out even more extra sodium and fat. The next major step would be to prepare and boil the broth. Since we're using a store-bought chicken broth, this step shouldn't take too long. However, the sodium count for the store-bought chicken broth might be a little high for some people. So after some experimentation, as a personal preference of mine, I usually like to remove the excess oil on top of the can. On top of that, I only use about half the can of broth and mix it in with about 1 cup of water to balance out and reduce the sodium count. When your broth and pasta are close to being done, you can get your pan ready and fry your meat to make it more tasty. Yes sir. For the frozen vegetables, another step I usually like to use is to put them on a pan to defrost them, so that way they cook faster once I dump them into the boiling soup. Once the pasta is ready, I usually like to drain out the macaroni and pour a little bit of cold or warm water over it to prevent the pasta from sticking. As everything is just about ready for the final steps, you can dump your frozen vegetables into the broth to quickly let it cook. Around the same time, you'll need to quickly use your pan again to start cooking your egg, preferably sunny side up style. Once that's done, you can get the macaroni ready in a separate bowl and add the soup to about 3/4 full. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the fun begins. It's finally time to add the rest of the ingredients into this soup to make this meal look amazing. As we're putting everything together, you can tell that this soup's gonna be good. And there you go. You now have a little taste of Hong Kong at the comfort of your own home. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me make more amazing meals for you, make sure you subscribe right now, and I'll love you forever. I promise. For 15 years of good luck, hit that like button now and activate your good fortunes. Do it now.